Hey guys, Garrett back for Sableye the Mind Sculptor with another deck tech for New Standard. This is a mostly black, I'm going to call it Revolting Orzhov, I guess. It's got a little bit of white in it and a lot of Revolt cards, so let's just get on with it. So starting with our creatures, we have a playset of Cryptbreaker, 3 Bearer of Silence, and 4 Matter Reshaper. Cryptbreaker is probably just the best 1-drop in our colors, and the ability to discard cards in this deck is actually nice. We have a couple of cards that we can discard and not lose any value on. So that's why we have Cryptbreaker. Then next, Bearer of Silence is, I think, one of my favorite 2-drops. You can play it as just a 2/1 flying can't block, which is, fine. But you can also play it for its full 4 and get them to sacrifice a creature as well, which I just think is very undervalued right now. I think Bearer of Silence is a very strong card that more people should be running. And then we have 4 Matter Reshaper, which, when it dies, reveal the top card of your library. You may put that card onto the battlefield if it's a permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less. Otherwise, put that card in your hand. So it's basically a 3/2 for 3 that is always a 2 for 1. And that's just great to me. I really love Matter Reshaper as well. It's just another card I think is very undervalued. So next we have 4 Scrap Heap Scrounger and 4 Eternal Scourge, which is just kind of a little combo of in and of itself. Basically, as long as the Scrap Heap Scrounger doesn't get exiled, the Eternal Scourge and the Scrap Heap Scrounger will always be able to recast themselves for 5 mana every time they both die, which is a cool interaction. And I like having the ability to discard those to the Cryptbreaker, and then I also just really like the sustainability of having both of those cards. Next, we have 4 Vengeful Rebel, which is a 3-mana 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, which is great with all the creatures that'll die to it. Especially if we have a 1-drop and a 2-drop, this guy gets a lot better just clearing a path for the rest of our creatures. And then, last of our creatures is 2 Yahini Undying Partisan, which I felt was necessary because we didn't really have any sack outlets, and it seemed like something this deck might need. But also because she's just a 2/2 haste for 3 that gets bigger and has indestructible when you need it. Moving on to spells, we have 2 Bone Splinters, which is a 1 black removal spell that requires you to sack a creature for it to work. So this is where our Matter Reshaper, Scrap Heap Scrounger, Eternal Scourge combo comes in line. Fatal Push, which is probably one of the most pushed removal spells I've ever seen. I'm only running 2 of them because I don't think they're as good in Standard as they are in Modern, but they're still fine in Standard, so I'm going to keep running it. We have 2 Grasp of Darkness because it's very efficient, kills most things, and 2 Murder because kills everything at instant speed. Then our last non-creature spell is Hidden Stockpile as a 4-off. This is where the white splash comes in. This is the only thing in my main board that I'm actually paying white for. It's just a black-white enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, you get a 1/1 Servo Artifact creature token. And for 1 mana, you can sacrifice a creature to scry 1. So this card is great. It's especially good in duplicates, but honestly, just as a sack outlet that makes servos, it is a good card for this deck. Moving on to our land, we have 4 Aether Hub and 4 Blighted Fen, which are both going to help us pay for our Matter Reshapers and our Bearer of Silence ETB effects. I could definitely see myself needing a few more of these specific colorless lands, so after testing, if it turns out I do, I will update that in the videos. Then we have 4 Concealed Courtyard because you kind of really want the fast lands in decks like this, where you are going to need both of your colors eventually, and all of your stuff costs a low enough mana that it doesn't hurt you. So now moving on to the sideboard, we have 3 Battle at the Bridge, which I love just because it's good against aggressive decks. You don't even really need the artifacts for it, although I do have some artifacts in my initial deck, but paying just 2 or 3 into this to kill something out of the Vehicles deck is very strong. Not that I even know the Vehicles deck is going to be a thing after bannings. Then we have 2 Fragmentize for any deck with artifacts. I'm only running 2 of these though because I also have 3 Anguished Unmaking, which is huge against those decks as well. 4 Transgress the Mind helps against combo, and 3 Lost Legacy because I think Saheeli combo is going to be a thing, and I'd like to be able to get rid of those Felidar Guardians and Saheeli Rise ahead of time. Thank you very much. So that's the deck. I really like this build, and I want to see if I can play it. I probably won't be able to play it before I get back from China, though, because the cards aren't available yet. So, be on the lookout for this deck when it comes out for games, and peace out.